Speaking with us today is Charisse Harris, Vice President of Compliance and Auditing at Lightshade. Hi, Charisse, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure speaking with you.
You as well. I'm a little nervous, so bear with me.
All good, all good.
All right.
We really just want to, let our followers know about who you are and how you first came into cannabis and what is Lightshade. And, we really want to celebrate your recent news of becoming a new advisory board member. And we're going to talk all about that. But first, I want to know, how did you come into cannabis? What was your first connection with the plant?
So the first connection I had was through the city and county of Denver. So I worked with the excise and licensing department back in 2013 and started off as a licensing technician where I would just take the applications and handle a wide range of things from liquor, marijuana, merchant guards, you name it. But then I came in at the prime time where marijuana was going rec for the city of Denver. So I kind of worked as the liaison by getting numbers to the mayor's office from the licensing department so they would know where we were at inspection wise, and as to who was going to get their rec license first come January 1 of 2014. So shortly after that in April, I decided, I want to try to get out there and do the inspection thing. So I applied for the inspection position, started and got that job and started that back in April of 2014. So I would conduct the inspections, again, not only for marijuana, but for all the licenses that Denver approved. And the president of Buddy Boy actually approached me and asked me, hey, are you looking to come to what they used to call the dark side? And I'm like, sure, I'll interview, no problem. And so I interviewed with the COO of Lightshade in June of 2016. And I've been on what they call the dark side, but I think it's the bright side of the cannabis industry. So I've been there since June of 2016. Just started as the director of compliance and slowly have been placed with the testing side of Lightshade, auditing side, and the packaging and logistics side. So I have about 4 or 5 different, and I handle the licensing too. So I have about 4 or 5 different vitally important units under my wing, but I enjoy it. I definitely do. It's ever changing, that's for sure. So
It seems like such an important role. I mean, you are kind of the wheels that, turn the, I would say car, but I want to say ship, but
yes,
you are the
yes.
carries the ship through. I mean, there's so much weight on your shoulders. Do you feel pressure in a day-to-day aspect? Like the dispensary is depending on you to survival?
Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure. And like I always tell them, I'm like, if I drop the ball or allow anybody in my department to drop the ball, like that would be detrimental to the company, whether it's licensing, whether it's not keeping track of our inventory, product not passing the test, product not being on the shelves to sell to the consumer. Like it's a lot of weight, but I don't even look at it like that. I just go with the flow, really. If I were to stop back and think about everything that I do and am responsible for, then I probably would just like lose my mind. But I try not to. It's just in my nature, and I just kind of go with it and make sure things are done, So I get a lot of phone calls throughout the day, but it's fun.
From the time you first entered the industry until now, what has been
Yes, ma'am.
some of the bigger changes that you've seen?
Oh,
and I know that's a big question because this industry is ever changing.
Ever changing.
We haven't even found our middle ground yet. And so, what was it like when you first entered to what it is today?
I was I feel like what's kind of impacted, and it's everybody in the world today, is just the whole COVID. Um, just trying to adjust to those restrictions and not really know what those restrictions entail yet. Like, I think everybody is just kind of going day by day and trying to figure this out. But that has been very difficult. Before COVID hit, just try not to dance in the gray when it comes to the regulations. And as you all, it's up for interpretation. And just because you interpret it one way does not necessarily mean the government officials interpret it that way. So there's a lot of gray in this industry. And to try to stay on top of it and make sure everybody's on the up and up is probably one of my most difficult challenges. Thank God I have like a great team of attorneys behind me, and it's like I can kind of, brainstorm with them on what they interpret things as being versus what we would interpret it to be. And I still have a good relationship with the city of Denver and some of the MED investigators. So I'm able to kind of shoot questions to them like, hey, you guys know that if anybody wants to remain compliant, it's going to be me. Like, I don't want you guys knocking on the door and taping up the doors or anything for that matter. So they're very responsive. They're very helpful. If they don't know the answer, they get it to somebody else higher up the chain that can provide that information. So I may have not faced as many challenges as everybody else has, and that's probably just because of my previous background and just relationships that I have with the people. But I kind of feel like they hold me to a different standard as well because I did come from that side. So it's like, like, oh, we're going to go pick on one of Charisse's facilities to make sure they're really doing what they're supposed to be doing, So, but.
And so when it comes to, local laws, state laws, even, I'd say national laws, we're not quite there yet.
Yes, ma'am.
Like you've had, I don't know, that you've been able to give your feedback or your input. A lot of activists or people in the industry, they go to city council meetings. Would you say that you've had, given your past experiences and the relationships that you have, would you say that you're being heard in this fight towards federal legalization?
I do. I feel like I'm being heard as much as I can be, they do have hoops that they have to jump through as well, and so I know it's sometimes, excuse me, if we feel like those that are on this side of the game feel like, oh, there's so much red tape that we have to get through, and you just always met with combat, and it's just never been easy. And it's like, they have to answer to people too. And I think me being on that side, I'm able to see both sides of the fence, and so I see now the red tape that they do have to get through and the hoops that they have to jump through on the private side versus the hoops that they have to jump through on the government side. So it's like, if we can we all say we want to come together and have a happy medium. And I really feel like it's getting to that point, but just like every other thing, you have bad seeds, and there's somebody that may not want you to get to that. An everyday struggle, but I feel like we're getting closer. I really, truly do. I do feel like we're getting closer, and they don't see marijuana as being such a bad thing. It carries such a negative connotation, throughout the years, that I finally feel like we're getting the right people in place to really see what marijuana and the benefits of cannabis are. So.
And what are dispensaries like Lightshade doing to help combat that stigma? Everyone has to do their part in this, fight towards legalization. We know there are still people sitting in prison for cannabis when we're out here starting dispensaries. What is Lightshade doing to give back to the community?
So I recently, with all that's been going on and me being placed into the position that I've been placed in as of January, I'm trying to develop a seed program within Lightshade, and that's a social equity education and development program. And so we have a couple of facilities that are like in inner city developments, neighborhoods. And my plan is to get out there and start teaching these young adults, like, I know you want to get to the almighty dollar and you want to get there the fast way, but there's a legal way that it can happen. And I want to give them the tools to help develop them. And, whether it's, hey, this is how you fill out a licensee application to get badged in, just have them go through like maybe a 6-month program. And hopefully at the end of that program, they land a job within Lightshade, whether it's bud tending, inventory control, somewhere in the cultivation area, just so they know that you don't have to do it the fast and illegal way to be in this industry. Let me show you the legal and compliant way, per se, of getting that done, So, I mean, we do sponsor a lot of programs that are okay with receiving sponsorship from the cannabis industry. A lot of people are scared to lose their 501c3s, and we just have to try to, again, get over that barrier, to let them know, like, even though it comes from the cannabis industry, it still can help benefit whatever programs you have out there, to make you guys successful and achieve. So I'm hoping my seed program takes off like the way I envisioned it to. And I just want to help the young, especially being an African-American female, I kind of have a few double whammies against me, and I'm raising a young daughter and I have 3 young sons. So I just want them to know that there are opportunities out there, and but there's a right way of getting a hold of those opportunities. So,
right. And so what is it like being a minority in this cannabis industry? I mean, historically, if we look at arrest records, 80% of the arrest records are for individuals that are non-Caucasians, yet we know that predominantly a white industry. We are trying to do better. I mean, what has your experience been like getting into this industry and trying to build programs that give back? I mean, it's an uphill battle in any industry, for women, for minorities. I mean, what has your experience been like navigating these waters?
My personal experience in working with Lightshade, I really have not encountered any hurdles. The 3 owners, granted they are, white males, they don't see color. They've never held my gender nor my color against me. Like, they are all about, if anything, they're more supportive. When I do come to them with ideas, they don't turn a blind eye to it. Like, they want to hear what I have to say. They are very, very receptive, So honestly, I personally have not faced many challenges when it comes to working for Lightshade. Like, they've always received what I had to say with open arms, open ears. And we just kind of sit at the table and we have like this whiteboard and we go over things, and, we just kind of work through it and see how we can get to that end goal. So they've never, ever knocked anything that I've brought forward. So it's honestly been like really refreshing, because I have dealt with negative pushback, in other jobs that I've held because of that reason, the color of my skin, or me being a female, but this is like it really has been refreshing. Like, the 4 years that I've been at Lightshade has been very refreshing. They've allowed me, my mom worked for us for a while in the corporate office, and, so she's a 76-year-old lady, and I'm like, she's smart. I want to keep her there. I want to keep her mind going, and they open the doors to her, and so they see past all that. You know, they do. They truly see past all that. So it's been great. It has.
Good. I'm glad to hear you're having a positive experience. You know, I mean, we need more of that, more positive experiences, more employers listening to their coworkers and their colleagues, because it really is, a- you know, teamwork makes the dream work. And
Absolutely.
if you've got a great team behind you, you can't even, you know, it's like advertising, like word of mouth is the best form of advertising. You can't even pay for it. Having a good, solid, reliable team is a dream that
It
many
is.
hope for, you know, especially in
Mm-hmm.
we're still building it. We're still creating history. You know, from things like the social equity program to building, you know, platforms like what you were discussing. You know, I mean, this industry is one that wants to give back, and it takes innovative individuals like yourself to really bring these programs to the surface. So I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think so this transitions over into your new advisory board position for Lead 411. Can you tell us a little bit about that nonprofit?
So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So I actually got with Lisa, who was our marketing director for Lightshade, and she was like, Charisse, I have Jennifer, who works for Lead 411. We just kind of want to sit down and have coffee. And so we went and had coffee one morning, and we were just kind of discussing like compliance related issues that they encounter to do the things that they want to do. And she was just like, if there's ever a time that we may have a question for you, do you mind if I reach out to you? And I'm absolutely sure, you know, I'm open to it. Like, and I said, if I don't know the answer, I'll definitely get you in front of the right people that can direct you and guide you to where you need to go. And, you know, we've had a couple of interactions to where they were trying to do things in California. And I'm just like, you know, I'm not really privy on the California regulations, but I know there's a team of attorneys that I work with here in Denver with Vicente, and I think they have partners in California. And so, long story short, she was just like, hey, maybe if we put you on the advisory board and, you know, if anybody ever has questions for you, would you be open to that? And I'm like, absolutely. And then the next thing I know, it's like, hey, you're in this article. Did you see yourself? And I'm like, I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that this would be as big as it is. And, you know, I just love what it is that they do and what they're trying to do. My dad passed away from cancer 20 years ago. So towards the end, you know, he loved to consume cannabis. It helped, you know, and to have nurses and doctors out there that want to educate people on the benefits of cannabis, like I stand behind 100% just because of what I went through with my dad, you know. And he got some of his greater relief came from smoking a joint here and there, or, you know, so for them to want to be able to be there and provide that education to people, like, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So anything that I can do to support it or get the ball rolling, whether it's in California or the East Coast, whatever, I will try to find the right people to support and to place on their team. So,
Excellent. And so
yeah.
have you been active in advising them so far? And what does that look like typically?
There's been, I just recently did with it wasn't bad. I wish that I could have done more, but I did get them in front of the right people. Like I said, because of the relationships that I've built with attorneys and other people in the legislation, like I'm able to get them in front of those people. So it hasn't been more me giving them that compliance advice right now, but being able to, you know, get them in front of the right people. So I've
Right.
done a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Well, and I'm sure your position as an advisor, like we were talking about, you know, minority communities. I mean, are there other minority members on the advisory board? And if not, I mean, this is a great step in the right direction for them. What are your plans, do you have any thoughts on how you might be able to help serve, underserved population?
Um, I I am so open and willing, and I'm just ready. I'm ready to go. I don't know specifically how many minorities they have on their board, but I feel like it has to start somewhere, right? And so if I am the first and only one right now, then we'll get to that point to where we're just adding more and more. And as far as like me and serving the underserved community right now is like, I feel like with the implementation of the seed program, once I can get that off and going, like my sister, she actually is, I don't know if you're familiar with the highways here, but she works the I-70 project. I mean, there's just so many different areas that affect, there's so many moving parts because she had to relocate a lot of dispensaries that were on the I-70 corridor. And she's reached out to me like, Charisse, what are the requirements? And, what is zoning looking for? What is building? So we've kind of worked hand in hand. And for her to be an African-American female in the field that she's in, like, I want her to come in and be a mentor for the kids. And, because maybe they don't understand there's other areas within the cannabis industry that you don't have to be right in the mix. Like you have roadways, you have marketing and PR, there's just so many other different facets within the cannabis industry. So I have her on board. So maybe I can have her collab with Leaf 411. There's just so many things that can happen. And, at this point, sky's the limit. My mom always told me, you can always be the brightest star in the sky. It's up to you on how bright you shine. So I'm ready. And I'm excited. So
Awesome.
Stay tuned.
Exactly. I love it. And your mom sounds awesome.
Yes, she is.
So I want to ask you this, in closing, where do you hope to see the industry go in the next 5 years? I mean, if there's something you can change, if the cannabis industry, everything from, how can people be better, do better, be better allies to, working out the kinks in the laws and the regulations, where do you hope to see this industry be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I truly do hope that it's finally recognized federally. We're slowly getting there, but again, you have those that just don't really, they already have their opinion on the industry, and it's kind of hard to break away from that. Old habits die hard, but I want to be able to show, even with the social equity program, the young men that have been locked up unfairly for cannabis, and to actually like be more than just talk. Like I want to start holding the legislation accountable, walk the walk. If you're going to talk it, let's walk it, and you get the right people in place, it's possible. And, you have to see beyond those charges and what they were convicted for, and know that there are good people. Even though you've been convicted of something doesn't make you a bad person, and with the right support and guidance, I feel like that change can come, and it can be a positive change. So in 5 years, I'd like to see a lot of those convictions overturned, and those individuals working in the industry and even owning their own companies, because they're fully capable of doing so as long as they have that support. And some of those restrictions are lightened a little bit as far as like from a financial aspect. Can't expect people to come in here with hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to start this business. And if they get the people that do have the hundreds of thousands of dollars out there to give that support and, put that faith in those people, I feel like it will definitely make a great change. It'll make a great change. And I want to be behind that every step of the way. I like to be behind the scenes. I'm not one of those people that like to be up front, but like I can do a lot from behind the scenes, you know. And so if they see my name attached to something, they're like, oh yeah, that's gonna be great, you know, it's gonna be good. So those are my goals and my dreams for the next one. I just want to see more people of color out there and doing the same thing and achieving the same thing. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
yeah,
well said. Thank you for putting it out there. I appreciate
yes,
it. And I hope to see the same thing. You know, I hope to see everyone that's been incarcerated for cannabis out. I hope that they can join the industry and make a living off it, like so many people have done for years.
yes,
And I think it takes, you know, individuals like yourself to help move that mission along and really amplify the voices of individuals that aren't being heard. And so again, I appreciate you and I appreciate what you're
thank
doing
you.
so much for taking the time to speak with me and to speak with our audience about Lightshade and about Leaf 411 and about everything that you're doing behind the scenes. And it's so important. You know, I did theater when I was, you know, growing up, and it was
Hmm.
behind the scenes, the tech that made the show run, but nobody knew because we were behind.
Nobody knew. Right, right.
So thank you. And so one final question: if people want to
Yes,
get
ma'am.
a hold of you, if they want to contact you, they have questions, maybe they want to come by and visit the dispensary, what would be the best way for them to reach out?
They can always send me a quick email. It's real simple, Charisse@lightshade.com. You have the spelling of my name, so if you want to put it out there, you know, it's always just send me an email. I'm more likely to be on my phone checking emails than I am answering it because I have my phone on silent right now and it's been lighting up the whole time we've been together. So like if you want to shoot me an email, I'm always open, you know. Like I said, the only thing that's kind of caused a little hurdle in how we do things right now is just the whole COVID and just trying to maintain safety for our team and you know the consumers out there. So um I've kind of minimized the touring right now, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. So we'll figure it out and I can probably take people around to see if a few of the facilities that we have out there. So
Thank you so much. This is
no
great.
problem.
We'll shoot you and your publicist an email before we put this out so you guys
Okay.
are aware. And I'm going to email her right after this for pictures, any sort of pictures or anything like that we can get. And
Okay.
thank you so much. This was a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Christina. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.